Hello Year 9 and Year 9 parents, welcome to the Options Process 2021. I'm going to be talking to you about the GCSE in Modern Foreign Languages in French. What is it? What will I do? At Wyvern Academy we follow the AQA French course, and in the course you study topics from three themes. Three themes are Theme 1, which is identity and culture, and you'll study a lot of different things in this theme, everything from new technology to different types of food from around the world and hobbies, all sorts of things that you haven't done previously. Theme 2 is called Local, National, International and Global Areas of Interest. That's a really interesting one. So you study topics such as the environment, you learn how to talk about things that you'd need when you're on holiday, like booking plane tickets, lots of practical things. It's a very varied topic. And the final theme is Theme 3, and that one is Current and Future Study and Employment. So that's things like comparing schools around the world in different countries where they speak French, and learning about how languages are useful for you in jobs, and talking about what you'd like to do when you're older. So they're really diverse themes. Okay, what is it? What will I do? So if you decide to take GCSE French, as part of your GCSE course, you will listen to songs, watch videos, you have a chance to cook a French recipe like we did in Year 8. We watch a French movie as part of our scheme of learning and we review it. During the lessons you'll have a lot more opportunities than you do in Key Stage 3 to work in pairs and small groups and work on projects, speaking and playing games. You'll be able to take part in the virtual, hopefully by the time you do your GCSE it won't be virtual, it will be at a local university, the European Languages Challenge, which is called Business Language Champions. You have lots of other opportunities, so you will have the opportunity to visit Paris as a cultural and language experience. GCSE students also take part in study days and competitions at Tyneside Cinema and at local universities. You can see some pictures there. Obviously I've blanked out their faces. Some of our GCSE students last year visited a French crêperie, and there's a picture of some of them in Newcastle after they'd been to see a French movie at the Tyneside Cinema. Okay, how will you be assessed? So there's 4 different skills in GCSE languages: listening, reading, writing and speaking, and the qualification is all assessed via final exams, which are taken at the end of Year 11. There are 2 tiers of entry. There's foundation tier where you can get grades 1 to 5 and higher tier where you can get grades 4 to 9. And overall you sit 4 question papers, which does sound like a lot, but a lot of them are very short, and I'll talk you through this in a minute. And they each have equal weighting, which means each paper counts 25% of the final mark. Okay, the listening exam is really short. It's only 35 minutes for foundation or 45 minutes for higher. It's made up of 2 sections. The first is in English, and the second section, the questions are in French, but they are nearly all multiple choice. There are a few simple questions which are in French, but you only need to write 1 or 2 words. You're not like writing massive paragraphs or anything. And you even have 5 minutes reading time at the start, so you can have a sneak peek at questions before the exam even starts. The speaking exam is even shorter. The entire exam takes just 7 to 12 minutes, depending on whether you're doing foundation or higher tier and how much you want to talk. And you're also given between 7 and 12 minutes preparation time, where you get to see some of the photo card and role play questions before the exam even starts. So you go into a little room and you're given some preparation materials and time to think, and you can make notes and write notes on a piece of paper, and you can even bring this piece of paper with your notes into the exam to read out loud if you get stuck. During the speaking exam you're going to describe a photo card. So as a photograph, and you answer a few simple questions and talk about what you can see in the picture. You take part in a short role play scenario, and that's actually my favourite bit because it's very practical. So it might be things like ordering food in a restaurant or booking plane tickets. And you'll also answer some simple questions about yourself, which you'll have already practiced loads in lessons. So there won't be any real surprises. Okay, the reading exam. Again, it's relatively short, it's a bit longer than the others. It's between 45 minutes and 1 hour. It's a written exam with 3 sections. The first section is all the questions are in English. That's the main section, that's the majority of the exam. And many are multiple choice. I'd say about 3/4 of them are multiple choice, so things like true, false, write a letter. The second section has questions in French, Most of them are multiple choice, and a very few, like in the listening, you have to write a couple of words in French, never more than 2 or 3 words really. And the final section of the reading exam is a short paragraph. It's definitely no harder than those that we've already done in Year 9. It's got something in French and you have to translate what it means in English. Okay, the writing exam is either 1 hour if you're doing foundation or 1 hour and 15 for higher. Most people don't use all of that time and have quite a bit of time left over to check through. The writing exam, if you're doing foundation, you have 4 little tasks. If you're doing higher, you have 3. So the first task on foundation is always describing a photo, and you've just got to write 4 little simple sentences, and it's really easy. Nearly everybody gets full marks for that question. So it's things like, there is a tree, I can see a man. It's like dead simple. The next task is writing 40 words, which sounds like loads, but if you think about it, it's only about 5 or 6 sentences. Both foundation and higher candidates have to translate a simple paragraph from English into French. And they also have to write 90 words, which again, it's really not that long, it's maybe about 10, 11 sentences, about 4 more detailed bullet points, which are all on topics that we've done before. And the higher candidates do 150 words on 2 bullet points. Okay, what can I do with GCSE French when I leave Wyvern Academy? So GCSE French is useful in a range of jobs. I'll let you have a look at some of those there. So a lot of people think French is just for people that want to be teachers and translators. That's simply not true. And it's useful to note that no matter what job you have, there's a lot of jobs where businesses and companies are prepared to pay more if you've got languages skills, and it's even more useful to have a language after Brexit. And you can see there one of the jobs that you can do with languages is a video game adapter. And it's actually true that when I was younger, one of my first jobs when I left uni was translating computer games from English into French and German. Okay, GCSE French is useful for a range of jobs. Careers which use languages directly include journalism, primary and secondary teaching, and there are a lot of bursaries and incentives available for people who've got languages skills who want to be a normal primary school teacher but can teach a little bit of primary French or any other languages on the side. And people who want to get into primary teaching, it's definitely a good idea to have a GCSE in French because you'll absolutely stand out from the crowd with that. I couldn't recommend that more. Obviously translating and interpreting. If you speak another language at home maybe, and you also have a formal qualification in a language, you're much more likely to get a job as a translator even in your own language. Travel and tourism goes without saying. Law, there's all sorts of opportunities for degrees in law with a language, and marketing. There are also careers where you'd use the skills that you learned but might not necessarily use the language itself. So if you do a GCSE in a language, you're learning all sorts of useful communication, problem solving and teamwork skills. So jobs could include public and armed services, accountancy, leisure and hospitality, business services and healthcare. Okay, a language opens doors and opportunities for travel and working abroad. Just because your GCSE is in French doesn't mean that you could then, if you needed to or wanted to, learn a second language. It'll make it easier to learn. So once you've learned one, it's dead easy to pick up others. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of case studies of people who have studied a language. So this person studied GCSE French, but then when she went to do her degree, she decided to do beginner's Spanish, which is something that you can do. And she works for the Royal Air Force, and they've trained her up in how to speak Arabic in just 18 months. That's very interesting. If you're thinking about going to university, consider doing a GCSE in a language. There's many UK universities, certainly all of the top ones, and most of the Russell Group universities require a GCSE in MFL, even if you're doing something like becoming a vet, veterinary medicine or medicine, all sorts of jobs that you'd never ever think you'd need to have a GCSE in languages because they see it as a sign that you've reached that academic standard. Universities also see languages as what's known as facilitating subjects, and they prefer people to have studied language to at least GCSE. Okay, GCSE French is needed to study French at A level. With a GCSE in French, you can study French or a new language such as Spanish, German, Japanese, anything you want, alongside other subjects such as business studies, law or journalism at university. And there's another case study of someone who studied French with business management. And that's all I have to say about that. So if you've got any questions, please email me or your French teacher and we'll be able to give you a lot of advice. Thank you. I think you'll enjoy the GCSE course in French.